Hello, everyone. I'm Greg Michlig, President and CEO at CUInsight.com, and I'm especially pleased to be joined by Chuck Fagan, President and CEO of Velera, and Brian Caldarelli, Executive Vice President, Chief Administrative Officer at Velera, who, as it was just announced, will succeed Chuck as the President and CEO effective October 1st, later of this year. Chuck and Brian, it's great to be with both of you.
Greg, thank you. And I've always appreciated the partnership working with you together at CUES and seeing your growth throughout the industry. So thanks for having us.
Well, I know this is a significant moment for Velera, Chuck. I appreciate you saying that. And really, this is a big day for the entire credit union movement. I'm really looking forward to diving into some of the details on what's next for both of you and the organization as we go forward. So, this first question is for both of you. You've got a 6-month runway until the official handoff at the beginning of your fiscal year on October 1st. So, how are you specifically dividing and conquering during this period to ensure Velera continues with strong momentum during that time? Chuck, let's start with you.
Yeah, Greg, thank you. And 6 months is kind of from today announcement through transition. But Brian and I have been working together for over 11 years. We've had the opportunity to do a number of things together. Lumen Digital comes to mind, our partnership with Jack Henry. And then more recently, obviously, the combination of PSCU and Co-op. Brian led all the integration efforts for bringing the two companies together. So, yeah, we have a 6-month runway, but I think we've been working on this for 11 years. I was able to, on March 15th, 2015, tell the board when I intended to retire. And it was 9/30/26. And it's worked out that that date's going to hold. And the board could not have chosen a better candidate to lead the company forward. He's just been involved in everything. He's as passionate as I am about our employees and our culture, and he believes in the credit union industry. He's involved with World Council and a number of other initiatives in the industry, and it's his time.
Yeah, I think one piece to add to it is that Chuck has left the organization in an incredible position. If you look at any measure you want to look at, whether it's from a financial point of view, Velera is investing more in new products, new solutions than either legacy company was investing in when we were apart. If you look at our employee engagement scores are literally in the upper quartile and continue to go up, which when you go through a combination, that's very, very rare. So, that's a very special accomplishment that our team has been able to execute over the last couple of years. Where we are in terms of where we sit in the industry is in an incredible spot. So, all those things are, put us in an incredible position. And I think, myself and the rest of the Velocity leadership team are just ready to take that, to the next step.
Maybe also touch on the strategic plan we built.
Well, that's the other thing is, the strategic plan has not changed and it will not change. We do have a plan that we've built with the senior leaders, with our board, and we're just in the early innings of that strategic plan execution. So all those pieces and parts are there in the right spot, and it's up for us to continue the swing on that.
As an outside observer, it's not surprising to hear that based on the leadership that you do have in place, both, as you said, your Velocity leadership team and then the board that you have in place, obviously heavy hitters from across the industry and key influencers. And, so again, not a surprise there. Brian, Chuck mentioned that you were a key architect. You were in charge of or leading that integration between PSCU and Co-op Solutions as you formed Velera over the past few years. As you prepare to move into the CEO role, how does your perspective shift from what may have been a lot of time spent as the lead engineer, kind of building the engine, to now jumping in the car and driving it?
Yeah, it's certainly there's probably a more external component that will need to be part of my day-to-day role, and something that, Chuck obviously excelled in, and that was the early part of his career was on relationships, and I think there's no one better than Chuck with that. So for me, a lot more of my time will be spent either on the road or in front of credit unions, and really getting a sense and getting a chance to learn a lot of what challenges are they facing, and then coming back to the shop to figure out, well, how do we help you know find those problems and fix those and put our credit unions in a better spot for the future. So I think that's another one. The other one, just as it goes back to technology, right? 6 months ago, I think we were in a very different position than we are now, the global we, in terms of technology and things like, generative AI. That's one that will continue to change, and one that I think we'll have to keep our pencil sharpened. And, as our strategies will morph and change, we'll certainly keep that top of mind.
Yeah, I can attest to the amount of time on the road because it seems like any event that I've been at, that's where I've seen Chuck. So, and Chuck, you mentioned it earlier. You've worked alongside Brian for well over a decade. Um, as you prepare to watch him take the lead, so what is a specific superpower he brings to the table that makes you most confident about the future of Valera?
Yeah, he mentioned he came in as the CFO of PSCU, and he also mentioned I led kind of the sales and account management, the market facing side. And a lot of CFOs focus their efforts around cost and expense management, and I certainly don't want to say that Brian ignored that, because he's exceptional at it. But Brian's unique skill is that he is as much part of the sales team and the growth organization as he is on making sure that we're responsible using the credit union member money the right way. And the fact that he can adapt and be part of that sales organization, supporting credit unions, wanting to make sure that we're investing in the right areas. It shows that he thinks organizationally. He doesn't just think one side of the equation, and that always struck with me. And then I'll add one other. When we had hurricanes approaching the state of Florida a few years back, and we had COVID, in our executive team meetings, we focused a lot on our employees. It was Brian who recognized that bottles of water were not available in grocery stores and other places here, toilet paper, flashlights, blankets. It was Brian that said, hey, let's send our facilities guys in trucks up to Georgia and let them go to Costco's and BJ's warehouses and get our employees all these materials. And we set up a loop in front of our building where employees could drive in. They didn't have to get out of the car because of how precious time was leading into those events. And we allowed them each to get one of those individual items that our team had been able to procure going up into Georgia. So he's every bit as much focused on our employees' well-being as I am. And that, I think, is a cornerstone of our organization.
It's amazing. Leadership comes in many different forms, and you just went through a few different versions of it that should definitely instill confidence in anyone working with Valera, and for those of us in the industry seeing Brian step into the role. Um, Now, Brian, let's flip that. So you have worked with Chuck for a long time. What is the superpower you've seen from him that you hope to carry forward as it relates to your new role?
I think one is Chuck is an incredible teacher. And when I came in the company back in 2012, in fact, the very first work dinner I had on my first day was with Chuck. And, in a lot of ways, he took me under his wing to teach me about the industry. I was new to the industry at that point in time. And, we made a point, to do that. I think, the other one is, Chuck does such a great job with relationships and really leading with heart, and puts everything towards that. He knows something about everyone, and is truly concerned about everyone's well-being. And that translates into what we do as an organization. And it's really about doing the right thing for credit unions and doing that in a way that, does, and we're lucky. We don't necessarily have to be concerned about our quarterly earnings or anything short-term financial metric or anything like that. It's about, given our structure, given the cooperative nature of us, it is what is the right thing for our company, for our credit unions, for our clients, for our employees in the long term. He taught me about the importance of culture and the development of culture and how important that is in terms of how decisions are made and how, frankly, the job gets done. I'll take those lessons, with me from here on out.
Yeah. Again, not surprising, just knowing what I've seen for a short period of time, as Chuck mentioned when I was at Q's, but also just in witnessing it from afar and hearing the stories of Chuck's leadership. So, you know, kind of focusing specifically on the transition of the organization. When you go through a leadership change like this, sometimes the stakeholders may pause. They may wonder, what's next. So obviously, you're doing interviews like this, press releases. How are you both working together right now to further signal that this is really a steady continuation of the strength and the vision? You've already spent years building. You talked about the strategic plan a little bit. Can you expand a little bit more on that?
Yeah, it's a timely question, obviously, for a number of different reasons. We had a sales presentation earlier today with a significantly sized credit union, and Brian was in this same video screen like this, getting engaged in the sales process, talking about our strategy. We kind of tag team that, and um, it's not all that different than what we've been doing. But I think over the next 6 months, we're going to get an opportunity to do that quite a bit. Um, Other areas we were just talking about, he's been seeing a lot of the different interviews that I've been doing. We've been doing them together. I've shared with him, despite the fact that we're over 5,000 employees now, I still participate in every new employee class. I carve out an hour because I want them to hear upfront from me about our culture. And we don't have a good culture because I say we're going to have one. We have one because of the people in the organization. And Brian's, like, hey, I want to be on the next couple of those new employee classes so I can get the story. I walk through the timeline of the companies coming together, and I talk about our strategy. So these employees, are obviously a little freaked out coming into a new company with a lot to learn. And so many of them comment, I've never spoken to a CEO, and I'm a member of the team. Brian's a member of the team. We're here all with a collective focus and vision ahead. And if they know the vision and we are confident in that vision, I don't think a lot of things can go wrong because we're aligned. And then I would say the last area, Greg, is that every board meeting that I've been at as CEO of Velera, Brian's been right there with me. So the board and their familiarity with Brian and us building the strategic plan together, he's going to have to make it his. He's not me and I'm not him. And as he leads the organization, it would be a miss if he tried to be me. He needs to be Brian. And the fact that he's got that relationship and continuity in place with the board, I think gives him a great head start because they are 100% aligned with what we're doing.
It's outstanding. Now, I know you obviously both have busy schedules, and it's probably going to accelerate over the next few months as you move through this period. But it's important to take time away from the office, Chuck. I know for you that often involves your family or a golf course. Brian, what do you like to do to just find some of that work-life balance outside of work?
Yeah, trust me, I'm not CEO at home. I am an individual contributor who's probably on probation when I get home. So I have two boys right now, along with my wife of 22 years, Kate, and two boys, William and Joey. William is a golfer, a very avid competitive golfer. He's 14, and Joey's about to turn 12, and he's the flag football player, and they both play basketball. So, my weekends are filled either caddying for golf tournaments, or I'm also the proudly to say the assistant to the assistant flag football coach, and watching my youngest son Joey on the football field. So that keeps me incredibly busy. We spend a lot of time in our off time. While I live in Tampa, we head to Montana quite a bit in the summers, especially. So hiking out there as much as possible is in my happy spot, I guess.
Sounds wonderful. Aside from the Montana piece, I've been through a lot of the same things you have with the athlete children and everything, but definitely a time to enjoy with them and great with the hiking in Montana. That sounds fantastic. Um, Chuck, do you have any particular post Valera plans in mind beyond expanding that wonderful family time that I know you enjoy, and of course, the golf?
Yeah, Greg, you knew it, you saw it. I missed a lot of time with my kids growing up because I was on the road doing what we do, and I'm not going to do the same with my grandchildren. They're 5 and 8, and I'm going to get an opportunity to be involved in their stuff. My wife was able to go see all of our kids' stuff. We were fortunate enough that she could be at home with them and drive like Brian spends his weekends, driving from sport field to sport field. And my wife took care of all that for us. And, it's kind of my turn to get involved with the grandkids. I don't know that I'm going to be assistant to the assistant coach or anything, but I definitely want to be that number one fan. I will get to practice and play more golf. Hopefully see the handicap go down a little bit. And then my wife and I have a place about 90 miles east on a saltwater river that leads into the Chesapeake Bay. And we have a boat, and I love to fish, but I've never been a fisherman as captain of a boat. And it's a whole different kind of deal when you have to find the fish. So I got a lot to learn on that as well. And yeah, that you summed it up well. And I'm still on a couple boards, Greg. So again, 100 miles an hour to 40 to 50 feels about right to me.
Well, enjoy the water. We had a boat, and I plan on getting a boat again sometime, and I know how enjoyable that can be. And I'm glad to hear that you're participating on some boards going forward. Hopefully, that means we'll continue to see you around the industry from time to time. Before we wrap up here, Brian, I know this has been a thoughtful process, for the transition and the succession plan. And just considering everything that you've built and helped build alongside Chuck, I just want to say I'm genuinely excited to see you take the lead this fall and looking forward to watching Valera's next chapter under your direction.
Thank you, Greg. I appreciate it.
And Chuck, before we wrap up, and you've kind of touched on this a little bit, but I just wanted to share a little bit of a personal reflection. And as you mentioned, we did work together for that brief window at Q's before I was recruited to go to New Jersey. A lot of what was talked about today and what Brian shared, again, I witnessed it. So even though I was only there with you for a few months at Q's, the level of trust and appreciation you earned from the team in that very short time was incredibly impactful for me. I learned a tremendous amount from your leadership, both in those few months and then just in watching you, learning from your example over the years in the industry. And you've continued to be supportive of me as I've navigated my career through, as you mentioned, from the league to CUNA, now America's Credit Unions, and then here at CUInsight. And the fact that you have remained someone I can reach out to for guidance all these years later just speaks volumes to who you are as a person. And I just want to say, I wish you the best always, my friend. It's been a pleasure to see you lead in this industry and lead through Valera. And I know you're not done yet, but I wanted to make sure I included that as part of this conversation. just in case we don't have a chance to do another interview before you step away.
Greg, I truly appreciate it. And I'm gonna keep reminding him, I'm still here until September 30th. So it's all his October 1, but I truly appreciate you saying that. And, you know, all of us probably start a job in this industry and, you know, hey, this is good for a couple years, stepping stone, but you get so immersed in the mission of this industry, it becomes part of your makeup. And seeing people like yourself, Brian, and others, you know, I used to be the young guy. Now I'm, you know, kind of the elder statesman, and seeing the success that you've had, the success Brian and others have had as they've developed in the space is just really impressive and fun to see, and to have confidence that not only Velera but the industry is in good hands.
Well, I think that's a good note to end on. I just want to thank you again both for joining me for this. I want to thank everyone who tuned in for this conversation. And on behalf of all of us here at CUInsight, thank you to Velera, and thanks for watching.